Hello and welcome. So, I just want to start this video off by saying that The Simpsons is my favorite show of all time. And I don't really have a lot of Simpsons related stuff on my channel at the minute, so I thought this might be a good way to kind of start that out. Um, this may be a pretty difficult task, but I'm just going to kind of go off the cuff and play it by ear, see how I feel during the moment. And I do want to say, I might chop and change the list around as I'm going to. Another note: this is my first ever tier list that I've done, and again, I thought Simpsons would be a good place to start for that. And I do want to shout out Lydia from the Simpsons Theory. I seen her doing this on her channel, and it obviously gave me the inspiration to go ahead and do it myself. But what else? So yeah, I mean, like I said, this is my opinion. Uh, it's not the definitive list for everyone. It shouldn't be taken like that. If you have a different opinion, that's fine. Don't come attack me in the comments for having my opinion if I sort of grade your favorite character lower than you would have wanted. I'm not here to, you know, I don't know everyone's opinion. Like I said, this is just mine. So, yeah, I'm not going to waste any more of your time with this intro. Let's just get straight into it and see how we're going. I'm also trying to decide, should I keep my camera on the entire time or should I turn that off for now? We'll go ahead and just keep my camera on for now. Anyway, so we're going to start the list out here with Edna, Skinner's mother. So she's a quite good character to me. She does add a lot when she's in the episodes to me comedically. I think she's a good foil to Skinner. She always puts him in his place and kind of. She's a mean character. She's kind of a mean spirited character, but the way they write her is funny at the same time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this might be a pretty hard list to do now that I'm looking through these characters, but it's fine. We'll see what's happening. So I can't in good conscience put her in S tier. I don't think we're gonna start out at S tier straight off the bat. And again, she hasn't had like much in the way of her own character development over the years. So, but on the upside, like I said, every time she's in an episode, I think she's funny. So I'll go ahead and put her at a B tier for now. I think she's not quite middle of the road. She's a little. She adds like something cool to the show, I feel. So second here we have Akira Kurosawa. Very cool name. He was in very few episodes. He is a waiter that I think he's in the episode I know where Homer eats the blowfish and he thinks he's gonna die. He's quite mean to Homer in that episode. But overall, he has hardly been in the show at all. So based on that, and plus his character doesn't really add too much. You know, it kind of could have been any character that took his place in that regard. So I think I'll put him at an F tier for now. Like I said, this is subject to change even throughout this video. I might change my mind on certain rankings and move them up and down. Oh, and another thing I do want to say as well is the way I'm basing these characters. I kind of had a thought about how I'm going to do this, whether I'm going to base it, more quantified on like the amount of appearances they've made in the show, or even if they've been in a couple of episodes, what kind of impact they left on me personally, how memorable they were, and how much I enjoyed their character. So I think I'm leaning more toward that latter way of justifying my ratings here. It's not as much about the amount of times they've been in the show, but just more of like the impact that they've personally made on me as a character. Now, that being said, obviously, if a character has been in the show a lot, that may, change my rating because they've had a lot of time to like develop that character then. So we're kind of just we're not doing it really one way or another. We're kind of just I'm kind of just keeping it um, on a character to character basis. I feel in in regards to how I'm going to be ranking these characters. So next here we have Apu. So Apu for me is going to be very high up in both regards. He's been in a lot of episodes. He's had quite a lot of time to develop his character, and I really like Apu. I think every time he shows up, he makes a really fun appearance, and he's funny. And they have to bring back Apu. It's fucking bullshit that they took Apu out of the show. So yeah, Apu's gonna go straight up here to A ranking for me. Not quite S tier because again he is a side character in the show, but he's sort of a mainstay at the same time. He's just when you think of Springfield, you know, Quickie Mart is just iconic, and um, his appearances in the show, like I said, are always great. But he doesn't quite break into that S tier ranking for me. I think you know, given a little more time, he may have went that direction. I do like the way they developed his character from just being like a complete workaholic to then being a father to a lot of children on top of that, and I liked that they delved more into his home life, sort of, you know, going forward through the series. So here we have Artie Pie. So again, this is another character that doesn't make a lot of appearances in the show. You never see Artie around town. He's literally just on the news as a sidekick, sort of, to Kent Brockman, who in and of himself is just basically a face on their television. I mean, you do see Kent from time to time around the town, but not too much. But Artie, on the other hand, I'm trying to think if I've ever even really seen him just kind of walking around and inhabiting Springfield, and I don't think I have, to my knowledge anyway. He's not going to quite get an F tier for me though, because every time he has shown up, he's come with like really funny one-liners, and he just makes me laugh. Like when he does show up, it makes me happy. You know, it automatically kind of brings a smile to my face when I see him. But at the same time, I don't really know anything about him outside of being the guy that, you know, flies the chopper for the news. So that's the only reason why his character development is not great throughout the series, but he is super funny. Artie Ziff. Artie is a tricky one because he does play a quite important role in the show, given that, you know, it's sort of his actions that led to Homer and Marge kind of falling for each other. But at the same time, when I see him, kind of a dick, you know, he's kind of a jerk. And he's still, even like until even in more modern appearances by him, more recent appearances, still kind of just trying to steal Marge off Homer, which I don't like. I think that's kind of a dick move overall. I do like his character performance. I like his voice performance. I think it matches the character super well, and I'm not taking anything away from the talent of that voice actor, which is Lovitz, I believe, isn't it? I think that's who it is anyway. But at the same time, despite his good character and voice acting, I mean, despite his good voice acting, I think that overall the character, to me, when I see Artie showing up, it doesn't make me feel happy. It kind of automatically makes me feel the opposite. I feel kind of angry toward him. Not in a way that I like hate. I don't particularly like really hate him. But he's just kind of like not enjoyable. He's not really enjoyable. He's kind of just like a rich douchebag. Oh my God, Barney! What a picture they've chosen for Barney here too. That's the episode where Homer and Tim join the what do you call it? Not the Marines, but the sort of the Navy, the naval. You know, the Navy in Springfield. I don't think it's full on the Navy, but you know what I mean. That's a maybe one of my favorite episodes. Not like top tier favorite, but it's one that I fondly remember all the time. But anyway, Barney as a whole, Barney's gonna be up there for me. I think Barney is great. Not so much. He kind of had a lull in the middle of the series when they sort of sobered him up. That was kind of like, which is not necessarily a bad thing in concept, but it's just the way like they sort of executed it. I feel like it didn't do Barney a lot of favors. They kind of equated him being sober to him being boring, which is kind of weird. So I didn't particularly like what they did with that aspect of his character. But overall, Barney's been a great addition to the show and definitely deserves at least an A tier for me. Again, not quite S tier, just because I can't kind of his storyline overall is so greatly affected. I feel from like the part where he became sober that it just kind of knocks him down a peg for me. Bartholomew J. Simpson, of course, Bart. It's going to be our first S class. One of my favorite characters in the show, which I'm sure a lot of you can agree with. Where do I even start with explaining why that is? Do I really need to explain why Bart is one of the best characters in the show? The development of him throughout the series has been absolutely phenomenal. I find great joy in a lot of the Bart-centric episodes. Some that are sort of just jumping off the top for me is Crepes of Wrath. I feel like that's an underrated episode, season 1. I love Crepes of Wrath. I feel like I've heard people don't really care for that episode. I don't know why, really. I personally love that episode. I think that's like, again, that's like a top, that's like a really great episode in my opinion. Other ones that sort of stand out to me immediately just off the top of my head, and another one that I feel is really, really underrated, and I feel like is a great episode, is Flying Abe and the Hellfish. I think that's an amazing episode, not only for Abe but for Bart as well. The two of them having like a story together like that, and just the way that whole episode is framed, like everything that's going on, and the whole vibe and pacing of that episode, I think is phenomenal. So it's episodes like that that really make Bart stand out to me. And of course, like, you know, you kind of think of Bart as being like a bad boy, like he is a rebellious nature. But there's also like when it goes into like the heartfelt episodes of Bart, like Marge Be Not Proud. That's another amazing episode. You know, Marge and Bart focused, and you really just see a different side to Bart in that. But the way they did that episode, I can't really describe. I'd have to really sit and think about describing how that episode makes me feel, but it just gives you. It's so real in the way that it presents its story and how it presents Bart's feelings during that. But yeah, those are just some of the few of the many great Bart centric episodes. Burns's Air is another one. Fantastic stuff. But yeah, I could go on for days about great Bart episodes, so we'll just move on here. Mrs. Hibbert. I forget her name off the top of my head. Shows how kind of forgettable she is as a character. She's had very few appearances. It was nice to see Hibbert's home life and the fact that his wife is nice, don't get me wrong. Like every time she shows up, she seems to be like a pleasant person for the most part, from like what I'm just remembering off the top of my head. But the fact that I can't really even remember her, personification after all the Simpsons that I've watched, that's gonna put her down here in the F tier. I think she would go above Akira so far, but still way down there for me. KBBL Radio Dudes. Again, these are kind of just throwaway characters. They could kind of be replaceable by anyone. They don't add much to the show in terms of like really anything. They've provided a couple of jokes here and there. I remember when they invited Mr. Burns onto their show and it was kind of like a Howard Stern esque type of situation there. But again, not very memorable, other than a couple of jokes here and there, and you don't know anything about these guys. So yeah, these guys are gonna go again. Yeah, I'll put them way down here. Bleeding Gums Murphy. Hmm, this is a tough one. I feel like Bleeding Gums Murphy sort of affected one of our show's main characters, Lisa, in quite a impactful way, in quite a big way in terms of inspiring her as an artist and to really just set the standard for what she wanted to kind of achieve as an artist, just fully embracing her art and creativity and really just trying to like express herself through that. So he does play a pretty important role. His voice acting is pretty awesome too. He has a kind of a pretty tragic backstory. I thought that was kind of weird that they put it in as like a throwaway joke that he is Dr. Hibbert's long lost brother. I don't know if that's like. I mean it should. I mean it's probably in the canon of the show, given that it wasn't like a Treehouse of Horror episode or something that they did that. But just kind of a weird tangent they went on there. I don't find him completely. But when I do see Bleeding Gums, the brief amount of times that we have spent with him, I've always found him quite enjoyable. Like I said, I like his characterization and I like his voice actor. So I feel like putting him at a D is kind of weird. Just because he has gotten slightly more development and stuff than, say, Artie Pie. So I think I'll put him right here in the middle. He's like not one of the best characters ever, but he's not also not like. Well, I can't even say any of these characters are bad, but you know what I mean in terms of like the impact that they've made on the series. He's kind of just right there in the middle for me. Three-eyed fish, Blinky. That's a weird character to have put on this list. I find. I mean, he's more of just kind of a mascot for Springfield, isn't he? By this point, it's kind of, and it's not even really one character. It's kind of just that's how fish in Springfield are because of the power plant. So that's kind of weird. This is strange for me to categorize this. I don't outright dislike Blinky, but at the same time, the impact that he's made on the show is very minimal. He's kind of just put in there to show that the power plant can kind of affect Springfield in kind of a bad way sometimes. And again, I see him more as like a mascot for Springfield more than anything. That's what I feel. That's what I feel when I think of Blinky. So this is kind of hard to categorize because I don't feel like I mean it's not offensive or anything like that. But again, his impact is very minimal on the show, so this is very kind of tricky for me to place Blinky. And again, it's not even like he's a real sort of character in the show. How do you like sort of draw that line between him being characterized and just sort of being that's what the fish in Springfield look like? This is tricky. Gonna go ahead and put Blinky right here at the top of the F tier for now, because like I said, he's very memorable. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bump him up to a D for that, because unlike these characters, Blinky is always kind of cemented in my mind. When I do think of Springfield, normally I might think of it's not going to be the first thing I think of, but it's a memorable sort of thing that they've put in there that the fish have three eyes. So yeah, for that reason, he's going to get bumped up to a D. Sideshow Bob. Oh my goodness. Now, this is an example of really not a character who's in the show all the time. Like, you don't normally just see Sideshow Bob chilling out in Springfield, inhabiting the place. But when he does show up, man, oh man, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be at least a very, very decent episode. Um, and of course, Bart's arch nemesis. I love how they've carried that storyline out throughout the years. There's a few. Now I did hear that people don't really care for like the Wrights brother episode where he like steals the plane and stuff like that. Personally, again, I love that episode. That's one of the episodes for me where like every time I watch it, I feel like it's sort of like uh, it's sort of new to me in a way. I don't know why, but it's one of those ones that I can just watch time and time again and like never really grow tired of. If that makes sense. Not that I really grow tired of any of these episodes, but I've seen like certain seasons of The Simpsons like so many, like countless times over and over. And that particular Sideshow Bob episode for me is one of those that I just like love so much. I don't know why. I love like the whole set piece of like the air show and all that, and I love like Bart and Lisa's little adventure there, and there's a lot of stuff like that. And of course, we have the episode where the Simpsons join, which I think this is where this picture of Sideshow Bob is from, where they join witness protection, and they sort of are hiding from Sideshow Bob, but he shows up, and you have the whole set piece where they're drifting down the river, and he's doing the one man show and all that. Great, great stuff, and of course, many other great episodes with Sideshow Bob. I'm gonna go ahead and put Bob in the A tier, just because you know he might get bumped up higher if he was actually a mainstay in the show, but he kind of just like pops in and out from time to time. But like I said, every time he shows up, Kelsey Grammer's voice performance is unbelievable. And Sideshow Bob as a whole, I love the character development that he has gotten over the years. I think he's great. Booberella. Yeah, I'm gonna immediately put Booberella right down here in the F tier. Like I said, she's just sort of a TV personality in the show. Doesn't add much of anything besides the obvious assets. But she's not annoying or anything like that. But again, she's just never gotten really any character development. And when I think of Simpsons and even like the side characters, she's not one that jumps out at me. She's like actually very forgettable in the grand scheme of things. But I guess that just speaks to how many great characters The Simpsons does have in it. When characters like this can fall to the wayside, and you kind of just it's so rich. Like the Springfield is so rich in its characters and it has so many that certain characters can just kind of fall to the wayside. All right, Brandine Spuckler. I like this picture of here right here holding the big automatic weapon. What the fuck? Brandine is again not a terrible character, but they haven't given her much in the way of character development over the years. She kind of just exists as a stereotype and sort of a sidekick to Cletus. Not a bad character, but not entirely great either. I know they do have certain episodes in the more modern seasons that sort of delve into the Spuckler family more deeply, and again, it's cool that they did that. I love that Simpsons is doing that with like branching off. I think that I feel like, I thought about that quite a few years back in terms of like sort of a direction that Simpsons could take, because they have so many rich side characters in Springfield that I thought, why don't they sort of branch out and sort of have episodes where the Simpsons are not the main focus of the episode. They can sort of like go off to like every other character, because we do know them like very well. If you've watched the show for years, you get to know like a lot of the side characters, so it's not as if that would like alienate viewers if you sort of branched off and explored side characters in more depth. So I really appreciate that they do that in more recent seasons of The Simpsons. And like I said, there is a couple of episodes now that highlight the Spucklers and their home life, but I don't find those particularly enjoyable. They're kind of just like, singers or stuff like that. I feel like they could do a lot with the. They have a huge family and they could do a lot with them. So with the way things stand now, she's gonna go down here. Um, I'm trying to think. Well, I might, like I said, I might change the order within the tiers and stuff as I'm going. Okay, Bumblebee Man. So again, not a great amount of character development from Bumblebee Man. He sort of exists as a purely background character. You don't really get to know him that well. All you really know about him is that, of course, he wears the Bumblebee outfit, um, and that it very briefly showed that he was married, but his wife left him because he's just so clumsy. But again, I don't even know if that's canon. That was sort of a brief moment in episodes. So I'm gonna put Bumblebee Man down here in F tier, but he's gonna be at the top of F tier just because when he does show up, he can do some stuff that's kind of funny, and his outfit makes him memorable, but not quite to like a great degree. Mr. Burns. Now, immediately, I gotta say, we're gonna have a second S tier character right here. What can I say about Mr. Burns that has not already been said 1,000 times? Monty, just fucking awesome. The amount of development this character has received over the years is great. The way they play with his character is phenomenal. Yeah, love everything about Mr. Burns. I think he definitely deserves a place in the S tier. Carl. Now, Carl's a pretty cool character, but again, they don't give him too much to do. However, like I was saying with Brandine a while ago there, Carl is one of the characters in more recent seasons that has gotten a couple of episodes that are sort of dedicated to him as a person. I think there's two of them, maybe three, but I've seen one. I haven't seen every episode of The Simpsons yet. I don't think I mentioned that during this video so far. I've not seen like the modern, like the latest seasons. I haven't seen every episode in those, but I have seen a really really good chunk of the season overall. But why was I saying that? Yes, because I missed some of the Carl centric episodes in the very recent seasons, but I did see the one where we find out where he sort of comes from and how he was adopted and where he grew up and stuff like that, and I really really enjoyed that episode. So I think it's fitting that Carl will go here in the C tier, put him right there next to Bleeding Gums, because maybe with more development I might find him like a B tier or even above, but as it stands, with the amount of stuff we know about Carl, and given the fact that like when he does show up, it makes me feel I'm sort of I sort of feel like it's just a C kind of feeling that I get from him when I see him. He's kind of middle of the road. I'm not like, holy shit, there's Carl, kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, he's pretty cool. So yeah, he's gonna land somewhere right there in the middle. Crazy Cat Lady. Again, she's a character that is, I feel like she's a little similar to Bumblebee Man in the way that she has like one quirk that they sort of focus on, and that's like what's most memorable about her. But what's gonna take her up here to a D tier from me is I'll put her actually right above Brandine here, just because I like her as a character more than Brandine. Actually, no, I'm gonna put her at the top of the D tier, I think, because she's had very like memorable moments for me, and every time I see her, I get kind of happy. So, But again, the character development is just not really there for me. Now I know that they did touch on her backstory, and that shit was tragic. Um, but again, it's the amount of the way they executed it, and like the the amount of character development that she's been given just kind of takes her down a peg. Like I said, she's a very memorable character, but I feel like she's just right there at the top of D tier. Super Nintendo Chalmers. Now this could be a tough one. Uh, Old Gary over here. I love they used the most iconic picture that they could of Chalmers right here, of course, during Steamed Hams. Chalmers, I really like Chalmers as a character. And he has received more recently again a bit more in the way of character development. We see more of his home life and that he is Shauna's dad and stuff like that. And even though he is, and I do like the dimensions that adds to him, because you find that he is kind of more similar to Skinner than we may have previously thought, given that he is just powerless against kind of a mean woman in his household too. Only instead of it being his mother, it's his daughter that's sort of has this strange kind of hold over him. She holds like power over him in a lot of ways, you know. And then so that kind of makes him more dimensional in the fact that when we see him, he's powering over Skinner. So it's kind of like he's sort of taking that angst that he may feel in this home life out against Skinner. So it kind of makes for an interesting sort of development there in two ways with him. But again, how does he? He makes me feel good when I see him, and I think that for me, it's gonna go right up here next to Agnes. I think I might have called her the wrong name at the very start of this when I started that, so my apologies if I did. I may have called her Edna by mistake. I don't know how I made that mistake. Maybe I think I was just nervous, maybe about doing my first tier list, but do forgive me for that. And again, these two were a couple for like a little short while, so yeah, I feel like they sit there perfectly within a B tier. Um, yeah, again, he would go up here above C tier for me, because like I said, every time he shows up, I kind of get this giddy kind of joy, like, oh my God, what's he gonna shout at Skinner about this time? You know, I really enjoy his characterization. Cletus, Cletus Spuckler, and a picture of him with all of his beautiful children here. Again, Cletus is not the best of characters for me. He's kind of had some funny moments here and there, but overall not great. I'm actually going to place him right there next to his, I want to say, wife or sister or all of the above. Um, Comic book guy. Now, comic book guy is another interesting one because he did start out sort of one-dimensional, being that he's just sort of like a lonely kind of guy that just likes collecting stuff, and he doesn't have much in the way of joy in his life. He doesn't really like people and stuff like that, which again doesn't make him a bad character, but it's kind of just like they played that role like all the time with him. Now I know again he's received more in the way of character development in more recent seasons of The Simpsons when he gets married and stuff like that. And I think he might still be married, and he might even have a kid now. I could be remembering that wrong, but I seem to think maybe he wanted to have a kid with his wife. I can't remember if they actually had a kid or not. But yeah, again, some pretty minor, interesting character development for comic book guy over the years. And again, I do like when comic book guy shows up. I kind of have a similar feeling to him with him to like Chalmers, in the way that I do get a sort of weird joy every time he shows up, wondering what he's going to get up to. So I'll place him right there in between Agnes and Gary. Judge, I forget her name. I believe the mom from Malcolm in the Middle voices this character, but again, she hasn't showed up nearly enough, and she's quite a forgettable character. I feel kind of the same way about her as I do about Boo Barilla in a way, that she just kind of like fades after a while. Like, if she's not in an episode, you just kind of forget that she even exists in a way. But I would put her kind of. I'm gonna put her right here next to Boo Barilla actually, because although, like I said, the mom from Malcolm in the Middle does a great job at voice acting for this character, but they just kind of the role that they gave her is just kind of forgettable. She's just kind of a parody of Judge Judy, isn't she? So Cookie Kwan here, which again I definitely feel like is gonna go down here in the F tier. She's had some funny moments, but overall quite a forgettable character there. Data. Oh my goodness. So this guy also I feel is going to go down here in the F tier. I think I'll put him maybe a little higher though. I think I'll put him next to Bumblebee Man just because he is slightly more memorable to me than these other characters here. But Data is kind of a character that doesn't really need to exist. He has really nothing in the way of character development. I know nothing about him outside of that he was sort of just a part of like the the Geek Squad in Springfield Elementary, and that's really why he doesn't need to exist. I feel like Martin Prince is like should just be that character. You know, he doesn't. Data doesn't really bring anything unique or new to the table. Martin has had some pretty awesome character development over the years, and so yeah, Data doesn't really need to exist in the show. So yeah, he's F tier for sure for me. Disco Stew. Now, Disco Stew is an interesting character, but because he is a character that I love, but some people might argue that he is like a Bumblebee Man kind of character in that he is just one dimensional, you know. And I wouldn't disagree with that wholeheartedly. I could definitely see where people are coming from if they feel that way. Um, but I don't know. I just find him kind of interesting, to be honest. I'm gonna put him. I'm trying to decide C tier or like high D because, like I said, he is pretty one dimensional. But at the same time, he does. I think what he has that none of these other D, yeah, C tier for me for Disco Stew because something about him uh, really kind of intrigues me to like want to know more about him, if that makes sense. Even though they haven't really given him that spotlight to shine, really. There's something about him that I want, like personally in my mind. I'm like, I want to know more about this guy, you know. So yeah, for that reason, and for the reason that he is like very memorable as well, he's gonna go into the C tier. Dolph, Dolph, my friend. So now we're getting into some of the bullies. Now this is interesting. Now I know bullying is never good. That is not good at all. I do not condone bullying in any way. Um, but Dolph as a character is great. Uh, I feel like he should at least be top of C tier, if not B tier for me. Um, you know what? No, for now he's going to be top of C tier, just because I do like Dolph. I like every time he shows up, and I like that they did kind of give him sort of a semi spotlight episode in the later seasons, which was an awesome episode, by the way, which is actually the one where Superintendent Chalmers brings some of the sort of the more rebellious characters of Springfield Elementary out into like the wilderness, and they kind of have to find their way there. And Dolph actually gets quite a bit of, you know, screen time in that episode, and it's a very enjoyable episode. But I think the reason why I'm putting him at the top of C tier is again just for like the same kind of reasons that Carl and the rest of them are there, is that he doesn't get like particularly great character development over the years. I feel like I don't know too much about him. I like his attitude when he's on screen, and I like what they do with him, but I don't. I feel like I don't really know him too well as a character. All right, so now we have Dr. Nick. Hi, everybody. Now, Dr. Nick, again, my heart's telling me immediately that I've got to put Dr. Nick at the top of C tier because actually, should I put him in B tier? Hmm. You know what? I'm gonna put him. Yeah, I like Doctor Nick more than I like Agnes. I think. So yeah, I feel like that's a comfortable place for me to put him right now. Again, this may change as I'm going along, but it's just sort of my initial feeling toward the character. Again, his I know he's kind of like a two-dimensional character in a lot of ways. He's kind of just known for what he's known for, but he's so damn memorable just by doing that at the same time that I feel like that kind of elevates him above a C character. But you could argue that I should place him in C here just because we don't really know too much about him outside of his normal shtick. But I think that his shtick works so well that he's just kind of got to be here in B tier for now. Dredrick Tatum. Again, not one of my favorite characters in the show. He kind of just is a parody of Mike Tyson. They don't really give him too much to do, and he kind of just fades into obscurity. He's kind of just more of a. He's not on the level of like other TV personalities in The Simpsons, such as like, you know, say like Itchy and Scratchy or Kent Brockman, or even Bane, McBain, Wolfcastle. Wolfcastle's a way better sort of parody of a celebrity than Dredrick Tatum, but I don't dislike him at the same time. So I feel like Dredrick Tatum's going to go right here at the top of F tier. Again, we know next to nothing about Dredrick Tatum, and he kind of just has showed up a few times throughout the series. So yeah, it's going to be an F tier for me. Duffman. Duffman, I love Duffman. My immediate thought is to put him somewhere here in C tier. Just because, again, he's kind of like sporadic in when he shows up, but every time I do see Duffman, I'm like excited to see what he's going to be doing. So, yeah, I feel like Duffman should be right here at the top of C tier. I love his whole thrusting thing and like you know all of that comes with him, and then I believe they have developed him as well to kind of give him some sort of sort of more traits than just being the two-dimensional sort of mascot for a corporation. But anyway, moving on here to that's not Lou, is it? What's this character? Eddie? Eddie and Lou are the two other police officers in Springfield. I think this is, no, this is Eddie. This is Eddie for sure. Again, given the fact that I couldn't even really remember what his name was, I think Eddie's going to go down here, lower down somewhere. Just because, sure, it's cool to have like more than just one or two police in Springfield, but other than that, he doesn't really have a function in the show. I can't really remember anything about Eddie, like thinking off the top of my head, or I can't even really remember any kind of character development that he's been given. So he's going to be right down here. Again, it has shown him a little more than, say, these characters, Data and Dr. Hibbert's wife and stuff like that. But again, he's just kind of there. When he shows up, it's not like, I'm not like super ecstatic to see him. He's had some like really funny jokes and line deliveries and stuff like that over the years, but overall, just kind of, whatever. Fat Tony. Whoa, this is gonna be a good one for me. I think Fat Tony, immediately thinking he's gonna be right up here in the A tier. Uh, Voice performance, unbelievable by Fat Tony's voice actor. Um, and his characterization over the years has been pretty damn awesome. I love a lot of episodes that Fat Tony are in, and then there's some that are slightly weaker. But I do love like Homer the Bodyguard, episodes like that. Of course, I love the episode where Bart sort of joins the mafia and it becomes like a Goodfellas parody. I love that episode. So for the episodes that I do like Fat Tony in, combined with sort of just his whole vibe and his voice performance, is going to knock him up to an A tier for me. Professor Frink. Professor Frink's a very interesting character for me personally. Again, he hasn't been given like an over. He hasn't been overly like featured over the years, but he has gotten some character development there, which sort of drives him above just being like a side, like just a one-dimensional character or a two-dimensional character that just has one trait of, oh look, he's a really genius guy that invents stuff. So I'm gonna put him up here in B tier. If they hadn't did episodes where it showed that he is like an overachiever because like his father never really cared about him and stuff like that, I feel like it might have knocked him down. But the fact that they've given him like extra layers and stuff like that, it's gonna knock him up there to a B tier for me, above Agnes. Yeah, the unibrow baby. This baby right here, I can't stand this little motherfucker. Nah, again, this is a character like these. I feel like unibrow baby will fall into this category of just kind of fading into obscurity. Like, I just kind of forget that this baby exists. It was a pretty neat idea that um, they gave Maggie sort of this like arch enemy sort of baby, but they never really went anywhere with it. So, execution wise, they haven't done anything really memorable or anything memorable at all. The only thing I can really remember about this baby is this, from this picture right here, where it's that shot where like the you know the mom's like pushing him in the fucking carriage, the baby carriage, past the Simpsons house, and Maggie and him look just stare at each other like that. But old Gil, old Gil, I feel like immediately is going to go to. He's gonna fall into C category for me, I think, because he kind of just started out sort of like a similar tier of character to Crazy Cat Lady, but more recently, even Gil has been given kind of spotlight episodes, so that's gonna kind of push him up to like a C tier for me, and I'm gonna put Gil like kind of high on the C tier just because he has been given like like a lot more about Gil, and there's even some moments during certain spotlight episodes for him where you feel genuinely kind of bad for the guy, but they do a good job of like balancing that out too, where you still kind of the moment you start to feel like sorry for him, he'll do something that just kind of makes you like uh, not feel sorry for him again, so they walk that line pretty well, I feel, with Gil, and it's generally pretty funny when Gil shows up. I like how he's always trying some new type of job and he's just giving it like all of his enthusiasm. And even with this like frame of mind that he goes in, you can still like feel the desperation just leaking out of him at the same time. But I like that even though he gets kicked down at every opportunity in his life, just like kicks him down, he still has like this sense of positivity to him. Like, okay, this will get better if I sort of just apply myself and I'm enthusiastic about what I'm doing. But sort of the interesting thing about that too is that you don't really know if Gil himself believes in that positivity or if he's just doing that because he thinks that's what's gonna make people respect him or make him better at the job that he's doing. With the voice performance and stuff like that and the way he's characterized, it's really clever because you can't, like I said, you can't really tell if he's genuinely feeling that way or not, or if he's just doing it because he thinks that's what he's supposed to do. You know, so it's quite an interesting character in that way, Gil. God, I don't even know why God is on this list, to be honest. Um, no disrespect to people who actually believe if there is a God or not, but God's gonna go down here in the F tier for me, just because I feel like that's a very weird addition to put into the show. I feel, um, and again, like he is like the only character that has five fingers and stuff like that. It's like they knew like he just doesn't fit in with the rest of the cast at all. To be honest, Abe Simpson. Abe Simpson is awesome. I love Abe. I think like over the years his character development has been phenomenal. I think he's hilarious. He used to wear an just because he used to wear an onion around his belt. Abe is going to be my third S tier character. I think his dynamic is great with all of like pretty much like any character that Abe has interactions with. I feel like their dynamic is great. I love his relationship, the way it's different with like each of the you can see how it's different with each of the characters like within the Simpsons family. Um, a particular standout for me would be Abe and Bart. I think their relationship is awesome, especially as like I mentioned earlier, the flying hellfish episode is like so fucking good. I love that episode. That's like a top tier episode for me personally, and I love that dynamic between Bart and Abe in that episode. So yeah, Abe is gonna be my third S tier character. Oh my goodness. All right, moving along here. Hank Scorpio. What a fucking character. Now, this is going to be very confusing for me because Hank Scorpio for me is going to get a high rating. And this is what I was talking about at the start of the video, where it's not necessarily going to be the amount of screen time that a character has had that's going to judge my overall rating. At least not in all cases. But Hank Scorpio is a special one for me because you only move twice, which I'm sure a lot of people probably will agree with. That's one of my top favorite episodes of The Simpsons. And Hank Scorpio is, you know, right center in that episode. And he's a highly memorable character. Like, even though this guy's only had, like, very minimal um, appearances in the show, I will never forget Hank Scorpio. One of the best like characters that has showed up not many times, but has just been so memorable. So I'm gonna put Hank Scorpio as a straight up as a B. I feel like I like him. Yeah, I'm gonna put Hank Scorpio way up here as a B. Do I like him better than comic book guy overall? Yeah, I'll go there. Popeye, Popeye. Hey, you want a pair of loafers? You ever seen a guy talk to a shoe. Oh, man, so many memorable moments crammed into that episode with him. Phenomenal. Hans Mole Man. Now, Mole Man, again, is a tricky one for me because I feel like when I was younger, I used to really, really like Mole Man. But now that I'm a little older, I feel like he's not that great of a character. He has a very cool, unique design, and it's interesting that they just have this character that they kind of like kill off in a funny way every time he shows up. I think that's like pretty hilarious. So for me, Hans is gonna go in a C tier as well for me, just because of that fact. He's more memorable to me than Crazy Cat Lady. Actually, yeah, I think like Hans will go here. I think at the top of D tier because he doesn't have the thing going for him with that I have for Disco Stew, where it's like I don't really care to know more about Hans Moleman's like personal life and sort of his backstory, but I do like him as a character. He kind of falls into like this category here with me. I kind of have a similar feeling about him as the Crazy Cat Lady. They're always funny when they show up, and they're memorable, but I don't really care too much to know more about their backstories. So yeah, that's why they're there at the top of D tier for me. Helen Lovejoy. Hmm. Helen Lovejoy. D tier for me. She's gonna go up here. She doesn't fall into the same category as say Hibbert's wife for me because she has been given more character development, and I kind of like her characterization to be honest. She's gonna go right here for me. Uh, it's not, but she doesn't quite fall as high as say Crazy Cat Lady or Hans Moleman because when she shows up, I'm not like particularly like super excited to see her, but I do like that. I do like the whole like town gossip sort of characterization that she's been given, especially the fact that because she is the minister's wife. Like I don't know. There's something funny about that to me, you know, and I like that they've characterized her in that way. Good old Herb Powell. Herb is a very tricky one. Now that is something because again, Danny DeVito's voice performance of Herb is phenomenal. I love what he did with the character in terms of like his performance. But Herb's overall characterization is sort of like a mixed bag for me. I like certain aspects of it. I like that Homer had a long lost brother and that he tried to like, you know, be very welcoming at first with him, bringing him into his life and but certain decisions that he made, even though he's sort of presented as this great businessman and stuff like that, some of the decisions that he makes kind of tells me that he shouldn't be seen as a great businessman. He kind of makes a lot of missteps during the way, and then kind of treats Homer like crap over it, even though it was like his bad decisions that got him in these places. And he only has two appearances, but to me, those two appearances are very memorable. Um, so I feel like Herb can safely sit. No, I don't like him more than Duffman though, do I? Or even Gil. I think Herb will go right here for me, right in the middle of the middle, because yeah, I like Herb, but there's certain decisions that he makes that are just kind of weird. Um, and again, I don't like when he's like mean to Homer and stuff like that. So safely feel like he's there. All right, Herman. Herman is a character that I do really like, but they haven't done shit with Herman, man. They've kind of taken him out of the show. I don't even know if he still shows up around Springfield or not, but he's kind of the same vibe as Disco Stew with me, where it's like I see Herman and I personally I want to know what this guy's deal is. You know, I want to see more of his backstory, but the fact that they haven't done any of his backstory is gonna drop him down a peg here for me. So because I do like the idea of Herman's character, and the concept of his character, he's gonna go like up here for me. But the fact that he's like not super memorable, just given the fact that they haven't given him enough to be memorable for, kind of puts him at a kind of puts him at an awkward place here, to be honest. I'm gonna put him down here, I think, somewhere in D. Just because, like I said, I'm intrigued. I want to know more about Herman, but they just haven't done that. So I can't, in good conscience, I can't rate him higher just because I want to see more of him. Because what they've given Herman over the series run is just not the reality of, you know, it's not gonna match up. It's not gonna give him a higher rating just because I want to see more of him. Dr. Hibbert. Dr. Hibbert's another very tricky one. He serves his function very well as a sort of a half decent doctor in Springfield, and of course he's made very memorable by his laugh. But this is another thing, man. And this is like no disrespect to the new voice actor for Dr. Hibbert, but it's just not doing it for me, man. I'm so used to hearing Dr. Hibbert be Dr. Hibbert that I just cannot like get attached to the new voice actor at all. Like I said, he's not a bad voice actor. He's doing his job well, but I just can't attach him to Dr. Hibbert at all. So that's gonna throw like quite a wrench in this rating right here, because you know I have to think about Dr. Hibbert, how he's existing now as well. So that's gonna take him down a peg for me. But again, I do like Dr. Hibbert, but you know, given the see what's gonna bring him up for me too is the fact that the stuff in the past with Dr. Hibbert for me, I really enjoy, like a lot of it. So that's gonna keep him, you know, up here, like above the lower tiers for me. Okay, Homer. Is there even any question about where Homer is on this list? Straight to S tier. I don't even really need an explanation for Homer. I mean, come on. Miss Hoover. Miss Hoover is not the most interesting of characters, to be honest. Immediately, obviously, one of the immediate things that you would kind of do naturally is sort of start comparing her to Edna Krabappel, just because they're the two teachers that we really see a lot of in the show, and you can't compare. I mean, you know, in terms of like which character you like better, there's no contest between Edna and Miss Hoover. Edna's gonna win out every time, of course. Rest in peace. But Miss Hoover is just kind of. I understand her function. She has like a genius, or a couple of genius students on her hands with. No, sorry, she does have the genius of Lisa in her classroom, and it's kind of. It's good satire. That sort of. She has this genius child right in front of her, and she is so bitter about her life as a teacher, just being underpaid and undervalued, that she doesn't even particularly care that there's, you know, genius right in front of her. And so I think that says a lot about the education system as a whole, being that, you know, he doesn't encourage Lisa to sort of, you know, drive her even further than she possibly could. And it's a good satire. She's a good satire of the education system, but other than that, kind of just whatever. And I don't really care to know more about her either, unlike Disco Stew, like I said. So yeah, she's gonna go down here for me. Um, Actually, in terms of like, yeah, she might even be below Miss Lovejoy here because, like I said, she's just not very. It's not that I forget about Miss Hoover, but she at the same time I don't actively like when I'm thinking of characters about Springfield and like some of my favorite ones. She's just not on that level. Itchy. All right. Again, Itchy's going to be kind of a tricky one for me because he's a character. He's a character that is a character in the show. He like to the people of Springfield, he's a character. You know what I mean? So he just kind of exists on their TV and nowhere else. Apart from that one Treehouse of Horror episode, which was awesome, where Bart and Lisa got zapped into the TV and then they came back out, and so did Itchy and Scratchy. But overall, kind of again, it's cool that they have like so much. I don't know. I really enjoy. I do enjoy the episodes of Itchy and Scratchy though. Like, and I love that they did that in the show. They didn't have to go into that much detail with what the characters were watching on TV. But the fact that they've crammed so much detail into that is like very respectable and very awesome. And they kind of take on a life of their own. So yeah, I feel like Itchy might go up here for me just because like I said, I love that they did that for a start, but then seeing like the crazy violence and stuff like that on the show is also like super interesting to me. Because The Simpsons as a whole is not a very gory show, but the show that they are watching on TV is like pretty gory. So I think that's like funny and like I find that interesting. Yeah, Miss Bouvier. So yeah, she's gonna rank pretty low for me. Again, I like the voice performance, but it's just it is what it is. I'm trying to remember the few times that she showed up was kind of just whatever for me. She kind of annoys me the way she treats Grandpa, like playing with his heart and stuff like that. I really, really don't like when women do that to men. I've been through that. Don't care for it. So yeah, she's gonna go pretty low for me on the list here. I might put her here above Data, but she's not getting any higher than that. Janie, another pretty immediate, pretty immediately I can say Janie's gonna be another F tier for me. She's gonna go down here just because she's not a completely like forgettable character just because of her association to Lisa. But at the same time, we know nothing about this girl. She hasn't gotten any real character development over the years, and so yeah, I'm comfortable with placing her there at F tier. Jasper, that's a paddling. Now Jasper to me is like an iconic character. I love moments of development that he has had on the show. I love when he gets frozen in the quickie mart. I think that's one of the most hilarious things. So stuff like that is gonna bump, and of course that's a paddling. And his relationship with Abe is pretty damn awesome too. So I'm kind of confused here about where to place Jasper. I don't know if he should be a really high C or if he should bump his way up to B for me. I think, given some of the other characters I put here in B tier, I think I'm kind of comfortable putting Jasper right here in the middle of B, just because I do like him like slightly more than these other characters. I don't know. It's his voice performance, and like I said, he's gotten some pretty. He's had some really fun moments throughout the series overall, and like I said, he's very quotable and stuff like that. So yeah, Jasper's gonna be up there for me. Jessica Lovejoy. Don't really enjoy this character too much. Again, I can't say that any of the characters in The Simpsons are downright bad because I would be lying to myself. That's just not the case for me personally. But Jessica Lovejoy, very limited screen time, very limited character development. Her voice acting was good, but her only real character development is that okay, she's like the daughter of the the priest or the pastor in Springfield, or the reverend, I should say, and she's kind of a bad egg, you know. He thinks she's like an angel, but she's really kind of more of a devil. And then that's really all they do with her character, which is interesting. But again, I'd like to sort of see that developed further. Uh, I think you know what, because I have the curiosity. It's much like Herman here, where I have the curiosity to kind of. I wish they would do more with her character, So I'm gonna put her in the same kind of place here as Herman, where it's like that's what I want from those characters. I want to see more development from them, even though the show hasn't done it. So because I do think that's an interesting concept. Reverend Lovejoy's family overall could be like very interesting. I think if they played up to like what they've set up for his loved ones. With Helen being like the gossip, and then Jessica being like this sort of rebellious girl. That family dynamic could be very interesting. I feel if they like developed that more, but they just haven't really done that. So that's why it goes lower down. Jimbo. Jimbo's gonna go in this same category right here. I think he'll go above Gil. Jimbo might even be. Now you know what? Jimbo is the top of C tier because no, this is confusing me now. I kind of feel like. See, I kind of feel now as if, and I've been looking at this a few times too. I kind of feel like Agnes shouldn't be a B tier character. Yeah, you know what I think? Because I keep every time I'm like scrolling and looking at her picture, I'm kind of getting this weird feeling that I should change her to a C tier character. Jimbo, on the other hand, how do I feel about Jimbo? Jimbo's a very Jimbo's funny. He's good at his characterization is very good the way they've done him. But I feel like a B tier bully, if any, is gonna be Nelson. So I'm gonna keep Jimbo at the top of the C tier for now. But I really like Jimbo a lot. Oh, this guy, I forget this guy's name totally. So he is gonna fall in here in the F tier. I remember certain episodes that he's in, but again, he doesn't get next to any character development, and he's very forgettable as a character. And he's going lower than Cookie Kwan because Cookie has actually made me laugh in times that she has shown up. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna move Cookie Kwan up more up here because even though she's a kind of an obscure and like kind of a forgettable character, the stuff of her that it does show has made me laugh quite a bit. So that's why she's getting moved up there now that I think about it. Kang and Kudos. Alright, well, these two are going to be very highly rated for me straight off the bat. Just because they're so iconic. They're so memorable. Every time they show up, I'm like excited to see what's going to go down with them. So, Kang and Kudos for me are going to go right here at the top of B tier, I feel. And I'm just thinking, is B tier worth, worthy, or should I move him up? Move them up. I'm trying to think because I love Treehouse of Horror episodes, like a lot. So I'm considering. I think for me, Kang and Kudos are gonna go just slightly above Fat Tony for me, actually, just because like I love sci-fi, I love alien stuff, and that for me like puts the icing on the cake. On top of like loving their characterizations, their design, their voice acting, the fact that they're aliens just pushes them even that little step further for me there. All right, Kearney. Kearney's another great character. I think Kearney's hilarious. And like all of the stuff like that plays with like, oh, we don't even know like what age this guy is, if he's a grown ass adult or if he is a teen, which to me is still kind of weird because why are teenagers in Springfield Elementary in the first place? Like I understand that they might have got left back a few grades, but I feel like they're more like middle school age, not elementary school age. But maybe in Springfield they just have those two schools combined. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's was something I was thinking about actually the other day. Like, why are they in elementary school in the first place? Like, you know. And then Nelson is in like Bart's class. Like, what? I thought he would have been like at least like a sixth grader or something like that. But anyway, Kearney's gonna go right there next to Jimbo because I feel like they just have a very similar vibe for me. They're sort of interchangeable in that regard. They're like very funny, very memorable, but at the same time, they're kind of very similar, you know, in a lot of ways. But again, safely at the top of C tier for me. Kent Brockman. Mm. Kent, again, is a very tricky one for me because even though he is mostly known for being a TV personality, you do see him exist in Springfield from time to time. Like you do see him around the town and stuff like that, and he's kind of iconic. You know, I can't really imagine someone else taking Kent Brockman's place as a character. I feel like his characterization is very well done. I love his voice acting and stuff like that. And I do have a certain amount of intrigue to see like more character development for Kent Brockman. So yeah, I'm gonna put him there, sort of in the same category as Disco Stew for me. Just slightly better though, because I do feel like he has more kind of layers to him already than Disco Stew. As a matter of fact, I think I'll move him even above. Uh, I think I'll put him around right here, actually, because he has been given some character development over the years, and it's kind of memorable stuff for me. Oh man, Kirk. Kirk is hilarious, hilarious character right here, who is immediately for me going to go right up here in the B tier. I feel like in every way, Kurt is just a crazy good character. I love the performance of the voice. I love even his design is funny to me, man. And I love the character development he's been given over the years too. Very memorable character. As a matter of fact, Kirk might go straight to the top of B tier, or maybe just below. Nah, yeah, he's gonna go to the top of B tier because, yeah, what a memorable character. Edna Krabappel again. Oh my God, we may have a runner for Kirk already. Um, Edna Krabappel is a great character. I love the character development she's been given over the years, and of course, Marcia Wallace's performance is hands down just such a great, great voice performance. Uh, so I really miss Mrs. K, and I feel like she should go right here at the top of B tier, man. Krusty's another very tricky one for me. I really like the times that he has shown up, and I like the character development Krusty's been given. Oh, and I do like that you know, even though he's kind of semi-famous, you do see him kicking it with other members of Springfield sometimes. He's like there. He's even showed up to like the Simpsons house parties and stuff like that. And he showed up to the Simpsons house quite a few times. I really like Krusty a lot. And I feel like I'll safely put Krusty uh, high in the B tier as well. Only missing out now. I do want to mention that the tiers are the order within the tiers is not necessarily ranked in order of like how much I like the characters, but it's somewhat, it's sort of somewhat. I'm sort of somewhat ranking it in that manner too. But Krusty only beats out Hank Scorpio in this case because he's been given a lot more time to develop over the years. All right, who do we have here? Lisa's music teacher. Which again, this character has not been. He's been given some character development over the years, but he's not very memorable to me. Again, I can't even remember his name off the top of my head right now, which is never a good sign. So he's going to go right here at the top of F tier for me. I do like him slightly better than Dredrick Tatum. He does have some funny moments from time to time, but yeah, he's going to be an F tier for me. All right, another character that I'm not remembering her name off the top of my head. I know her last name is Powell, though, because I remember her mom is Ruth. So they were. Now, this is a very strange character right here because I loved the episode that she was in. She broke Bart's heart, and all of the stuff that she was doing in there was awesome. She had a great like character introduction, and I really loved that episode. Even all of the little things like her ordering uh, fast food, and but it's like being like I think it was like Ethiopian food or something like that. Just all of these little things are like genius character development because she was saying like her dad was in the military and that's how she got to try all of these different foods and stuff. Little touches like that were genius in her characterization, but has she even showed up in more than one episode? And I find that particularly weird because isn't that the Simpsons' neighbor? Like, I understand. The only reason I do understand it is because they had I believe they had a celebrity guest star to do the voice of that character. But I mean, they could have, there's been other instances where they just kind of got one of the regular cast to sort of slip in and do a character voice if they wanted to bring like a, character back that initially had a celebrity voice. They kind of did it like that. But this is a character, again, I really like her character in the episode that she's in, but she's only in like one episode, I think. I mean, she might show up in the background or something in more recent episodes, but I never remember seeing her around. So again, I really like this character, but she just has had no real time to shine besides the one episode that she was in. But I do like her. I say I like the short time that she was characterized. Characterized. I do like her better than these, but she's not. I don't know, man. She wasn't hilarious, but I really liked her character. So yeah, I feel like she's right there in the D tier. Okay, who do we have next? Mr. Burns' lawyer. He kind of falls into the same category as like Lisa's band teacher and Dredrick Tatum. He's not completely forgettable. He has some funny, really funny lines to me. When they do utilize recognize him, but it's like very. He kind of only has one function, you know. Obviously, he's just a lawyer, so you're only going to see him when like court cases and stuff like that show up. And even at that, we also have Lionel Hutz, who is like a way better lawyer character than this guy. Although, like I said, this guy does have his moments, and I do like his voice performance. Okay, so he's gonna go to the top of the F tier right here. Actually, you know what? I kind of feel like he's a D tier character as well. He's not, because he's not like, he doesn't fade into obscurity. I like always remember who he is, you know. So I think I'll actually put him here, kind of maybe not above Cletus, maybe in between Cletus and Brandine, somewhere there. All right. So we have Fat Tony's sidekick here, who again I'm not immediately remembering his name, and from what see this character, this is kind of confusing because I don't dislike him as a character, but I just really don't remember anything that he does in the show. I don't even really particularly remember any of his jokes. He's kind of just there to serve as a sidekick to Fat Tony. And so, like I said, like I even remember like more about kind of like how Akira was characterized than him. I can't say characterized any right now. Yeah, so he's way down there in F tier. Lenny. Lenny. I feel like I'd be doing Lenny a disservice if I didn't put him next to Carl. But I think he's only gonna slightly be up here because Lenny has been given a lot more opportunity to shine than say Carl has. So yeah, actually Lenny's gonna be like more up C tier for me because I think Lenny's like hilarious, man. So yeah, Lenny's gonna fall right up here, close to the top of C tier, and I kind of like the ongoing joke they have with Lenny, where they kind of treat him like he's a celebrity in some instances, like sort of like everyone's like for Lenny, you know, kind of. It's kind of very strange, but just funny at the same time. So I like that aspect too. Um, but it's pretty sad that they haven't given Lenny a spotlight episode yet. The way they've given Carl like several highlight episodes now, but they haven't given Lenny any, to my knowledge. They haven't done any for him. But again, he's another character similar to like Disco Stew in that way, where like I'm intrigued. I want to know more about Lenny, but they just haven't done it. Okay, Bart's classmates. I believe this is Lewis. He's gonna go way down here because again, he kind of just exists to be another classmate of Bart's. But we already have Milhouse, who is like Bart's best friend and also like been given a ton of character development, etc., etc. But Lewis is just sort of like way down here because again, they haven't really done anything with him. We don't get to know Lewis at all. We just know that he's in Bart's class, and that's about it. Who is this lady now? I mean, I know her character design, but I'm trying to think of which episodes she is featured in. I think she might be like a Gil kind of character in the way that she kind of serves different purposes in different episodes, but she doesn't really. She just shows up from time to time. Um, but none of them are really. Oh, I think I remember her from the episode where Homer decides to turn Lisa's room into like a tower for like to get cell phone footage. I mean coverage. I think that might be her. She's sort of like a corporate type of character, but not really memorable. She's kind of funny in some of her voice acting is good, and she's kind of funny, but she's really not memorable at all. I kind of remember her like I kind of feel like she's a Cookie Kwan level of memorable for me, so she's gonna go there. Lionel Hutz, oh my goodness, I love Lionel Hutz. Lionel Hutz is gonna be kind of pretty high for me. Not only because of course, his great voice actor, but just because his characterization as well is hilarious, man. Lionel Hutz is gonna go way up in B tier for me because yeah, there's just like so many moments with him that I laugh out loud at. He's actually gonna go right here next to Kirk for me, because he has shown up less than Kirk, I believe. But when he does show up, it's always a good time. Lisa. Lisa's gonna be very confusing for me because Lisa actually was my favorite character in all of The Simpsons, but her legacy, if you will, has kind of been tainted for me in the more recent seasons. I understand that she's a smart kid and that she is very caring about the world around her, and she wants to like make positive changes in the world. But I feel like, especially recently, they've just played that up to like sort of I don't want to say annoying, but it's just they're kind of going too much just into that aspect of her character. She's kind of just becoming like a know-it-all sort of. I don't know, man. Lisa's very confusing for me because, like I said, she used to be like my absolute favorite character in the show, but it's because of her characterization more recently that I've kind of putting her like kind of knocking her down a peg for me, to be honest. But I think I will go for Lisa. I think I'll go right here, right next to her brother for me. Um, yeah, again, that might change, but we'll see. I'll see how that goes. The S tier for me is going to be probably the hardest to rank in terms of like which order that goes in, but I'll leave Lisa there for now. Okay, Fat Tony's other sidekicks. That's going to be quite an easy ranking for me. Again, actually, you know what? I do like him better than this guy right here, sipping the Manhattan, because his voice is actually more memorable for me and stuff. But again, when I think about him, I don't really remember any particular, like, I don't even really remember any particular jokes. All I really remember is that I like his voice acting and he has made me laugh. But at the same time, like I said, I don't really remember the particulars of any situation that he's been in. So for that reason, because he has made me laugh and I do slightly remember him, he's going to go at the top of F tier for me there. Lou, I really like Lou. Lou's voice acting again is phenomenal, and I love like there's a lot of Lou moments that he makes me laugh. And again, he's gonna fall into a similar camp as Disco Stew because I definitely want to know more about Lou. I want to know more of this guy's backstory and what he's all about. But the show has not really given us that, so unfortunately. So Lou's gonna go around here for me, around the same. I kind of feel like, I feel good when he shows up, but at the same time, they don't use him enough to like push him up in the rankings for me. All right, Millhouse's mom. Not a great character to me. She has her moments, but I don't really like the way she treats Kirk, man. It's kind of shitty, you know. Again, she had the right to, of course, divorce him and stuff like that if she didn't care about him no more. But it's the way that she goes about it. It was just kind of really shitty. Um, but I do like some of the stuff with her, like, and Marge. I like the way they developed, like her kind of being. I like moments when she's like, my kid's not gonna play with Bart and all this. That stuff's kind of interesting. So she's gonna go right there. I kind of kind of place her around. Kind of feel the same sort of way about her as I do about, say, Helen Lovejoy. But Helen Lovejoy is like, I like her a little more just because of her characterization, the way they do her like as the gossip and stuff like that. I find that funnier than Luann, isn't it? Luann Van Houten. All right, Luigi. Luigi, to me, and probably to a lot of people, very similar to Bumblebee Man in ways, but I feel Luigi is funnier than Bumblebee Man. He has a lot more funny moments, I feel, to me. Um, but he doesn't really get too much character development in a way. But because of like, I do remember like moments of Luigi, so I'm gonna put him up here too, sort of in a similar vein to the Mr. Burns' lawyer there, because like I said, his performance is funny and he does have some jokes that have made me laugh. All right, Lunch Lady Doris, another good character here. I feel Lunch Lady Doris is like always funny when she shows up, so she's gonna land like right here for me too, along with like Crazy Cat Lady and stuff. That's another character though, in the same way as Disco Stew. I want to know what this lady's deal is. I want to see like what's going on in her life outside of being a lunch lady. I think that would be interesting. I don't know. I think they could do something interesting with that. Laureline, great performance by Laureline, and I believe the only episode of the show that Matt Groening was the main writer of, or if not, maybe he's the sole writer of that episode that features Laureline and Colonel Homer and stuff like that. So that's very interesting. But overall, and she has shown up again. I believe Laureline showed up once, maybe twice more in the show in more recent seasons. And she's quite a tragic character. Um, Not a bad character though, and again, like I said, the voice actor was great for Laureline. But I'm gonna put her like just below Jessica Lovejoy because we have been given more backstory to her, and it is kind of sad. And actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll leave there for now because her backstory's tragic, but I don't know if that automatically makes it enjoyable. So yeah, it's gonna be down there. Maggie. Oh, Maggie is a very, very tricky one. I feel like Maggie is going to be maybe the first Simpson that is not in S tier for me. I like Maggie, but I mean, what can she really do? She doesn't talk. She has been no. I do like that they include in her character that she may be smarter than what we're led to believe. Um, she's like saved several members of her family a few times, and they don't even seem to notice that she's done that stuff. And of course, like there's episodes where like it's very heartwarming and cute, like her saying "Dada" when Homer leaves the room and stuff like that. And of course, the famous "Do it for her" in the flashback episode. All very nice, sweet moments, and I love that Maggie's in the show. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't enjoy it. I wouldn't like it if she wasn't there, But just she needs that extra little bump in character development, I feel, to take her straight to S tier for me. So yeah, she's gonna go right there in A. Manjula. Not a character I particularly care for that much. I like that Apu found someone that he can love and he had his children with and stuff like that, but they haven't given her super amount of depth over the years. Manjula's going to fall somewhere in this area for me, I feel. She does have more character development than Artie Lang. Artie, of course. Is it Artie Pie or... and then I do feel like she's more interesting than Miss Hoover, though. I feel like Manjula's got a little bit of fire in her. She does like clap back at certain moments in the show, and she does stand up for herself and stuff like that. So yeah, she's gonna get placed right there. for me. Marge. Marge. Marge is a great character. Marge is gonna be also, no, I'm not leaving her there. Don't worry. Marge is also going to be in the S tier for me. Just given like her place in the show. I love her nerdiness. I love the fact that she's not even aware of it. Like she thinks she's like real cool and hip, but she's really like it's like very like sweet in the way they characterize Marge like that, you know. And then just stuff with her relationships to other characters. The way they've done that over the years has been absolutely phenomenal. Again, like Abe, I love seeing the way her relationship with different characters is different. You know what I mean? Like you can see the way her love for Homer and her love for her kids is different, and even each of her kids as individual. And I love like her and Maggie together. They're just like adorable. So yeah, Marge, S tier character for me. Martin Prince. I feel like Martin Prince is going to go into. Huh. Martin's kind of confusing. Martin could go into. I say Martin will be in C tier for me as well. Maybe just right below Jimbo and Kearney here, just because he has had its funny moments, and I do like certain episodes with his showing his dynamic toward different characters. Like I think him and Nelson's dynamic is hilarious. It's like laugh out loud funny, and it's also I like his dynamic with the Simpsons kids as well. I think that's really cool stuff. But in terms of his own character development, it hasn't been too heavy over the years. But there was that one episode that more recent, I believe it's like season 33 or 32 maybe, where they did all of those like random stories for like a bunch of characters around Springfield, and Martin was a fucking undercover cop who just looks like a kid, so they have him undercover at Springfield Elementary. I thought that was hilarious, man. I can't believe that they actually went there. I know that episode's probably not canon, but still at the same time, it kind of that's why that pushes Martin even further up the list for me. Just the fact that they went all out and did that. Marvin Monroe. Marvin Monroe is going to be down here in F tier as well for me. He is more memorable than say Akira and these characters, but at the same time, he hasn't done a bunch in the show. They had him off for a very long time and rarely show him even now. I think he might have came back to life like one second in a more recent episode. All right, Maud Flanders. The first of the Flanders gang that we're going to be ranking here. May she rest in peace. Maud Flanders is okay. I feel like we've gotten to kind of know her over the years, but only as I don't really get the sense that I know Maud like as an individual. I kind of just feel like she's sort of always there for Ned. You know, she's like a good wife. But in terms of like knowing her as an individual, I feel like I don't really know her. And she's never really that funny, to be honest. So I feel like Maud's gonna go down here for me. Okay, Sideshow Mel. Sideshow Mel, another very confusing one for me here. I really like Sideshow Mel. I like his character design. I like his voice acting, and I like what they do with him when he does show up. He's quite funny. Kind of a quirky, sort of eccentric type of dude, but he's gonna fall right here with Disco Stew and Itchy because, like Itchy, he's mostly known as being a TV personality, but we do see little glimpses of. Actually, he's gonna go above Itchy, but like I said, we do see little glimpses of Mel's character throughout the show, and I like what I've seen. But he sort of, at the same time, sort of suffers that same thing for me with Disco Stew. It's like I'm very curious. I want to know more about this character, but they just haven't really. They've went to a certain. They've certainly developed him more than they've developed Disco Stew, for example. But they haven't went full out and like for me, they haven't developed him to his full potential. All right, Millhouse. Millhouse, I feel, is going to be an A tier character for me. I kind of have a similar feeling about Millhouse than I do about like these other characters in the A tier. Um, Not quite S tier. He has gotten a good amount of character development over the year, but when you first think of Millhouse, of course, the first thing you think is Bart, like Bart's best friend. Outside of that, again, he has had character development, but it's just not been to like the top tier that it could be for me, in my opinion. Mo Sislek. Mo is an S tier for me. Mo is gonna be right up at the top for me there. Because Mo is just fucking great. Super hilarious. Hank Azaria's voice performance is great, and I love like Mo's characterization. He's not only a bartender, a bar owner, but the stuff that Mo does behind the scenes is just fucking hilarious to me. I think like the way he's like real shady and like he's always up to some kind of scheme, and he just seems like a really like below the surface you can see that there's like an awful person there, but the way that he's written, it's like hilarious. It's not like mean spirited. Um, so yeah, and he's had so many memorable moments, not only with the Simpsons family, I feel, but like on his own. I feel like Mo was just a great character. Of course, we love the dynamic of Bart prank calling him, him and Homer's sort of friendship slash, him being his bartender. Even the stuff with Marge, him being kind of weird and creepy with Marge, and uh, of course Maggie as well. Maggie was I liked that storyline with Maggie and Mo, where like you can actually see that he could be a great father if he was given the chance. So I like that they added even that to his character too. Oh my goodness, my throat is getting super dry from talking for this long, but we shall persevere. You may see me running through these a little faster now as I'm getting closer to the end because, like I said, my throat is like super dry right now. I'm finding it hard to have been talking for this long. All right, Mona Simpson. I really like Mona Simpson. I like her characterization, and I think Marge and I feel like Abe and Mona's marriage was very interesting. Abe being like a more conservative type of character, whereas Mona's sort of like a free spirit. And I can see why Homer's parents being that way kind of makes sense to why Homer became who he became. I feel like Homer kind of has certain aspects of each of their characters in a way. Particularly like he's shown a lot to be like a free spirit over the years, but he also has like family, values and stuff like that. He's sort of just in the middle. But yeah, Mona's a great character. I feel like her episodes were really interesting. Her being on the run from the cops and all that. But she hasn't really become a mainstay of the show. So for that reason, it's gonna kind of knock her down to a B tier. But like I said, any episodes that she is in is great. She's not maybe not as particularly as funny as these characters that I've put above her here, but certainly a memorable character. All right, Mr. Teeny. All right, so this character is probably going to fall into the same category for me as Blinky. They haven't really done anything with the character. It's just Krusty's sidekick. It's funny that it's a monkey with a little hat and stuff on, and that he smokes cigarettes and stuff like that. It's kind of funny, but other than that, not a bunch of stuff that Mr. Teeny could do. Nelson's mom. Nelson's mom is going to go probably F tier for me, or maybe low D tier, just because actually, yeah, I think Nelson's mom's gonna go in D tier for me too because she's not the funniest character, but I do remember a lot about the character development they've given her. She's just kind of a struggling single mother who has seen the worst in life and really just has run out of fucks to give and doesn't have any dreams or aspirations. She's been defeated by the world, and I feel like that's very interesting. I feel like Nelson's home life in general has been developed in a super interesting way, and I really like when they delve into that stuff. But she just quite hasn't made it to like the level of these some of these characters here in C tier because she hasn't shown up so much. All right, Flanders. Flanders again is an interesting one. He's such a mainstay in the show, but it's not great to me. He's never really like that funny. I mean, sometimes his over religious ways can kind of be funny, but that's kind of all he's known for, really. Kind of just being super religious. I mean, no, he has been given like development over the years. I don't want to take that away from him. Being that he lost his wife and there has been moments when he's doubted his faith and stuff like that, and he is, yeah. Flanders is an interesting one. It's like kind of hard for me to rate him because like I do like Flanders, but at the same time, he's never really the most hilarious character. But I feel like he's just such a mainstay in the Simpsons that I feel like I'd feel wrong putting him anywhere below a B tier. All right, Nelson. Nelson again. He's another one of the bully characters, but he is elevated above the other bully characters because he's been given some good character development over the years, and he's hilarious too. Nelson is hilarious, and I feel like his home life is, while it's tragic, it's really tragic. It's interesting that they, took that route with him. Not only because it kind of explains why he is the way he is, but it's also just a tragic backstory, and it's well done. So it makes for interesting viewing. So yeah, Nelson's gonna go. I feel like Nelson's gonna go right here at the top of B tier for me. And of course, the iconic laugh pushes him up even more. Alright, so these nerd characters here, they're kind of funny in the way they present these characters, but they're not mainstays of the show. I kind of feel like they would fall into this kind of category of maybe slightly higher than Luigi for me, because the moments that they have been in the show they stick in my mind. They're memorable, and they do some funny stuff, but we don't really know these characters, like who they are. Alright, Otto. No, that's not Otto. That's Old Jewish Man. Otto's next after him. Old Jewish Man. Definitely not on the level of Jasper. But again, another friend to Abe. And he is funny when he shows up. But at the same time, I don't really care to know more about his backstory. Unlike, say, Lunch Lady Doris, Crazy Cat Lady, or Mole Man, I really have no desire to know more about him. So I'm going to put him down here, probably above Miss Hoover, just because he is funny, but below Manjula because she has had like more character development than him. Alright, Otto Man. Otto is going to be a B tier for me. He doesn't quite reach the A tier status, but he's had a lot of memorable lines. Or actually, you know what? I think Otto, I will place at a C tier. I don't feel very comfortable putting Otto at a B tier, just because he hasn't really earned it in ways of his character development. He kind of is a one-note character, but he is funny, and I do like his voice performance. So he's gonna sit comfortably as a C for me, I feel. All right, is that Patty or Selma? I always forget, but they're gonna go probably in the same place for me anyway. But I know one of the twins has gotten slightly more character development than the other over the years. But again, I just off the bat, I can't remember which one is which, and I don't want to make that mistake at the same time, you know. So I know one of them married like Sideshow Bob, of course, which is a great episode. But just how I feel about Patty and Selma, despite their individual moments of character development, I still kind of just when I think of them, I kind of first just think of course, Marge's sister. They're just mean to their brother-in-law. You know, that's what you always think of first when you think of them. So I feel like it's kind of a tricky. This is kind of a tricky. Um, this is kind of a tricky duo to rank for me because, like I said, I don't want to make the mistake of being like, oh, this one is the one that married Sideshow Bob, and this is the one that dated Troy McClure, and etc. etc. I don't want to make that mistake, so I think I'm just going to bunch those two together for this list. But I think they will sit comfortably at a C tier for me. Probably pretty high in C tier. I do like a lot of their moments. Do I like Patty and Selma better than I like Otto? I think I do. I think I think maybe even more than Duffman. So I'm gonna put Patty and Selma. Like I said, I'll take them out together and put them together just because I don't want to like individualize their entire storylines for the purpose of this. All right, Poochie. Poochie's gonna be a F tier for me, man. I don't mind the episode that he's in, but just doesn't really add anything to the show. But I do remember a lot of his scenes, so Poochie will probably be at the top of F tier for me, just because of that fact. I do remember a lot of his scenes from that episode. So, all right, we have our corrupt Mayor Quimby here. Quimby is a great character. Again, I love the voice performance. I love the way he's characterized. So I'm gonna comfortably put Quimby at the top of C tier for me, just because, like I said, he's had such great memorable moments for me over the years, and he's a fun character. All right, Krusty's dad, who is Herschel, I believe. Maybe Herschel. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, and again, that's not a good sign because you can't remember. Didn't his dad die? I believe he has died in more recent seasons. But don't really like this character. He was mean to Krusty. He didn't appreciate his son for who he is. He wanted him to be who he wanted him to be, and just didn't vibe well with him. And also kind of just forget. He's actually more forgettable for me than even Akira. At least Akira had like funny voice delivery and stuff like that, and sort of like the setting that he was in made him even like better. I like the restaurant set piece and all that. I thought that was cool. Okay, Ralph is gonna be another tricky one because again, hasn't had super character development over the years, but it's always a good time when Ralph shows up. I love the episode where Ralph and Bart are like they become like friends, I guess, or they're kind of forced to become friends. I think that's a very memorable episode. Uh, Ralph is going to be a B tier for me, just because, like I said, he is such a quirky character. He's going to sit high in B tier for me, though. Probably here. I think Krusty has had more substantial, uh, you know, storylines in the show and way more good character development. That's why, Ralph would sit below Krusty for me. But Ralph is like funny as fuck anytime he shows up. So, and there's like I said, he has so many quotable lines in the show that yeah, I comfortably put Ralph at B tier. But he would maybe be A tier if they did develop his character more. But for now he's just kind of one note in a way. He's just kind of there, like he'll say like really kind of strange stuff and funny stuff, but he doesn't. You don't really know Ralph particularly well outside of that, you know. Okay, Bart's other friend in class, who has even less character development than Lewis, he's going to be way down on the list too. Really, the only thing that I can say that about this character is that I like his design, but I don't know anything about this kid. I forget his name. It's not Lewis. It's not even Wendell. Wendell's right there, the kid that even Wendell has more character development than this kid right here, because at least you know that he's always kind of like anxious and sick. But this kid right here, I know nothing about this kid. I kind of weirdly feel as if he might be like from New York or something like that, and his parents moved him to Springfield. But again, that's just my head canon. That's not proven in the show at all, and we don't know anything about this character. He's just in Bart's class. That's about it. All right, Rod and Todd, and please do not attack me if I mix up Rod and Todd. I always forget which one's which. Rod and Todd are kind of they're okay. They have Rod and Todd have their funniest moments. And again, I can't even really tell from this picture which one is which because they don't. He doesn't have his brother to like scale him. You know, I know which the taller one. I remember like more moments from him. But again, I can't even tell which one's which because they're not next to each other here. But yeah, he's gonna go in C tier. He's had some character development over the years and a lot of memorable moments, so he's gonna go right about there for me. All right, Judge. This Judge is great. He's gonna fall into the same category for me. Great voice performance, and I am curious to know more about this guy's backstory, but they just haven't done that. Okay, so Ruth Powell, again, similar to her daughter, but she has had, I feel, slightly more development than her daughter. I feel like Ruth's shown up maybe a couple of times throughout the series in the background and stuff, but again, very strange that they never really pay these characters attention. That because they're the Simpsons' other neighbors, you know. I mean, comparatively speaking, look at how much it has shown the Flanders family throughout the years, but has never shown these neighbors on the other side, really, besides one episode, you know. Very strange to me. But I would really like to see more of the Powell family, but we just don't get that. So she's got to sit right there next to her daughter. All right, Apu's brother, who I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, Sanjay maybe. Um, he has been funny when he's shown up, but again, I'm not really remembering any of his moments off the top of my head, so I'm gonna put him right here next to our mafia friend here. Santa's Little Helper. All right, I like Santa's Little Helper a lot. Don't get me wrong. I like that they've given him like spotlight episodes over the years, and his relationship with Bart, of course, is great. But I mean, the funniness is what is gonna bring Santa's Little Helper down a little. He just doesn't do really funny stuff, you know. So I can put Santa's Little Helper. I feel not above Hank Scorpio for sure. Maybe right here, maybe. All right, Chief Wiggum's wife, Sarah. Again, she is going to go right here above Disco Stew because they did give her kind of a spotlight episode, and it was very interesting to me. Yeah, I need to rewatch that episode, but I remember loving it when I did watch it. She's kind of like a badass, you know, a very rebellious type, even though she's like quiet and shy most of the time. You see her, she's barely wants to talk and stuff, but her spotlight episode definitely takes her up for me from being a D tier or even an F tier to way up in C tier, just because they made good on that. They actually gave her a time in the spotlight, and it was super interesting. All right, Scratchy is going to go next to Itchy. You can't have that any other way. I like the mouse better, but you can't really have one without the other there. All right, Sea Captain. Sea Captain's a great character. Again, he's going to go in C tier for me. C for Sea Captain. He's going to go probably high up here because he has very memorable moments. His voice acting is phenomenal, and we have gotten some character development for him over the years, but again, I would like to see that explored even further. That might take him up even higher on the list if that were the case. All right, Shauna Chalmers. Not a great character. Kind of reminds me of Jessica Lovejoy in some ways, just being like a rebellious type. Kind of treats Superintendent Chalmers like shit, and has weird relationships with guys, like very weird. Like I remember her like making out with Bart and stuff, which is uncomfortable. And then like even like old dudes as well. I think she was with, again, very strange. So she's gonna go down there right next to Jessica there. I feel like they would be friends if they knew each other, you know. So yeah, I feel comfortable putting them there. All right, the twins. The only reason why the twins are not in F tier is because I feel like they have had slightly more moments as classmates than these ones down here in F tier. So they'll go there. I don't really like them. They're not that funny. But again, they have been given some character development over the years that kind of works for them. So yeah, D tier. All right, and I like that future episode where like Nelson gets like both of them pregnant. That's crazy. That's mad funny. All right, Principal Skinner, I feel is going to be another A tier for me. Comfortably place him right there next to Barney. Yeah, what can I say about Skinner? Funny as hell. Needed as a great foil to Bart. Has had great character development over the years. Yeah, A tier for sure. Smithers, again, Smithers I feel is going to be A tier for me. Um, like I said, I like his character. Some super funny moments with Mr. Burns. Actually, I'll put Smithers right below his buddy Mr. Burns there. I feel like they're just a match made in heaven by this stage, you know. Smithers is hilarious to me. I think he's had some super memorable moments in the past. Some of the standout ones being, of course, like um, the Malibu Stacy episode where he's found out to be a collector and stuff like that. And then, of course, all of the stuff with Mr. Burns, all of those jokes that Mr. Burns is not quite understanding that Smithers has a crush on him. Or I'd say more than a crush, I'd say he's obsessed with dude. And then other ones like even stories that sort of include Smithers are just fun. Like Homer the Smithers, where Smithers goes away on vacation. I think that's a hilarious episode. So yeah, Waylon's definitely up there for me in terms of great characters. Snake, oh man, Snake is an awesome character too. Phenomenal voice acting, super funny. But again, that he might get knocked down a few pegs just because his character development has not been great. We know him, of course, he's a criminal, he's a bad dude. He's had a few episodes where he gets a little development, but nothing too crazy overall. The reason I'm putting him kind of above Flanders there is just because I kind of like this characterization more than like Flanders in a way. Flanders is just like a goody two shoes religious dude. It's like kind of boring in some ways. But Snake's character is just wild and fun. Not that I would want to be around like that type of character in real life, but it just makes for fun comedy, like the way they set him up. I think it's entertaining to watch. All right, Snowball. Now, the thing about Snowball is I can't even remember which Snowball this is. If this Snowball 2 or 3 or I don't know. Snowball doesn't really get anything in the way of anything. I kind of feel similar to Snowball in like I do about the three-eyed fish, sort of a mascot sort of character. Maybe slightly above the mascot just because of their proximity to the Simpsons family, but I don't even remember seeing Snowball much in like any modern episodes. I could be wrong. Maybe they're still hanging around somewhere, but I literally don't know if they still have the cat or not, to be honest. All right, squeaky voice teen, hilarious character to me, is gonna go right up here in the middle tier for me. Again, not great character development, but any moments they show up, kind of similarly to uh, Sea Captain here, just always funny when they show up. I think they're always hilarious, so comfortably put them right there next to Sea Captain. Alright, the Rich Texan. Hmm. The Rich Texan is not one of my favorite characters. Pretty memorable, just because of his like voice acting, and but he's like doesn't have much of the. He kind of just has one shtick where he like fires his guns up in the air and stuff like that. So kind of just comfortably put him there. He's funny, but you know he's not required for the show to be like what as fantastic as it is. All right, tight lip. Was it tight lip Tony? This guy's hilarious. I'm gonna put him kind of in the same category as Squeaky Voice Teen. I kind of like every time he shows up. It's just funny, and I like his voice acting and his design and stuff like that. And I know he's based off of a real dude that was like killed in the Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but I do know that about him. So yeah, right there, funny character, but not much in the way of character development. Reverend Lovejoy. I really like Reverend Lovejoy a lot, to be honest. I feel like he's gonna be up here maybe. Um, just because I like his development over the years. I like that he is obsessed with model trains and stuff like that, and that's kind of the thing that keeps him sane. And I also love the dynamic between him and Flanders. I think that's hilarious that Flanders is even more like into religion than the Reverend, and it kind of pisses the Reverend off. Like, I think that's hilarious. Like, the Reverend just wants a day off from all that sometimes, and like Flanders just continually pesters him about religion, and it like really upsets him. So yeah, I think that's hilarious. C tier for him. All right, younger Flanders. I believe is Rod. I believe Rod is the younger one, but I no Todd. See, I can't remember. I don't want to commit to calling him one thing or another because I don't want to make that mistake. So he's gonna go right here next to his brother. Again, funny moments, but just kind of comfortably in the middle for me. Not great, not the best, and not you know not bad. Troy McClure, excellent character to me. I think I'll put Troy in the B tier, even above like Dr. Nick and stuff like that. I think even above. Yeah, I feel like Troy McClure is gonna go like pretty damn high for me. I'll put him next to Lionel Hutz, not only because it's the same voice actor. No, actually, I think I'll put him even above Flanders, to be honest. I just love his like persona and like the way he's acted and the way he always is. He's in like the way like he does like all the titles for his movies, and you may remember me from such and such. I think that's super hilarious. I'm even gonna put him above Snake because he has gotten some slight character development over the years in ways. Like he was married to one of Marge's sisters and all that. All right, guys, we're getting pretty close here with only 7 more entries here. So Hooter's kind of funny, but again, has not really been given much in the way of character development. I say I'll put him here just because the moments where he is in the show can be kind of funny sometimes. Okay, Wendell. Now Wendell's gonna go down here next to Lewis because, like I said, he is I mean, he's kind of memorable to me. I like like his design, and but he just kind of falls into this category of we don't know anything about him besides he's maybe like an anxious sort of kid, and he's like sick a lot. All right, Chief Wiggum. Chief Wiggum. Chief Wiggum's going to be an S tier for me personally. Yeah, this guy's great, hilarious. Like most of the time he's in there. Some interesting character development over the years. Great writing, great voice performance again by Hank Azaria. I can't really. Yeah, it's I don't know though, cause I'm trying to think if Wiggum should be A tier or like all out S tier for me, because I kind of feel similarly about Wiggum as I do about like Apu and Barney. So I think I think I may put him here actually. Yeah, just because like Mo has gotten that extra little bit of um, character develop character development than Wiggum has, in my opinion. So yeah, I think I feel comfortable with Chief Wiggum sitting right there. Maybe actually, I think Wiggum maybe at the top of the A tier. Actually, yeah, I think that's good. All right, Willie. Willie is going to be a. When I think about Willie, I think he's funny. I like the concept of Willie. Um, and I think most of the time he shows up is hilarious. I love his one-liners, and of course his, the fact that he's like Scottish is fun and stuff like that. So yeah, he's gonna go right down there. I feel like Willie and Snake would probably be good friends. I don't know. In my head canon, that's the way it would be anyway. I don't know. I feel like they would get along together. They're just kind of crazy, and I think Willie, given the right circumstances, wouldn't be opposed to doing some crime. So definitely. All right, so who the hell is this guy? Is this the stamp the ticket guy or whatever? He's gonna go again. I do remember his voice in my mind, but I don't particularly remember any of his moments. I do. I think he's like sort of a Gil kind of character where he has different jobs around town. So because I do remember his voice, I'm gonna put him there. Just because I do remember him like slightly more, and I do remember like liking him like say more than Lisa's music teacher or like Frederick Tatum. So yeah, I think he could comfortably sit right there. McBain. McBain is an excellent character. Again, I feel like he's gonna fall into this category of maybe high D or low C tier for me. Just because I really like what they've done with McBain over the years in terms of like all of his appearances on the Simpsons TV. If you play them in order, it actually is a little mini movie. I think that's amazing, and of course, I feel like he's a great satire of Arnold Schwarzenegger and sort of other action stars and stuff like that. So McBain is gonna, and again, he has gotten some character development over the years too. So McBain's gonna go right here. I feel like maybe above Sideshow Mel, just in terms of like, I feel like he's done slightly more to like make me laugh over time. So yeah, C tier for McBain. All right, and this guy, yes. Now, of course, that's very hilarious and very funny, but this guy has gotten zero character development outside of that yes catchphrase that he does. So he's gonna sit down here in the sort of mascot esque region of my list. Um, yeah, so that's it. Let me save that real quick. Actually, yeah, that's gonna do it for my Simpsons tier list. Man, my voice is like, my throat is sore. So my throat is so dry right now. Um, but I thoroughly enjoyed looking through all of those characters and sort of giving my thoughts on each and every one of them. I hope you like this ranking. I hope that that's sort of I feel like it's a pretty fair ranking in my opinion. I'm gonna save this one and maybe look at it another time to see where I might change or like improve that. But I feel like for a first tier video, this was it was very fun and I enjoyed doing this a lot. So I may actually do a Futurama one as well. I may actually do a Futurama tier list like this in the future, but I'm not too sure yet. We'll see how it goes. But I hope you enjoyed this. I don't even know how long I've been doing this video for, but yeah, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I hope you uh, like my choices and my tier, my ranking and stuff like that, and of course my explanation for those. But go ahead and shout out in the comments who some of your favorite Simpsons characters are. I'd be really curious to find that out. And of course, if you have any disagreements with me, certainly let me know why. You might even, change my mind on a couple of them. No promises there, but, I'd like to definitely hear your guys' thoughts on this. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Like if you enjoyed the video, and if you want to see a Futurama or any other tier list, be sure to let me know that in the comments too. And subscribe to my channel. Take care till next time.